Alright, fuck it, it's early. So, moving on to The Lost World, Jurassic Park. Second movie in this franchise. This movie gets a lot of hate. Like, deservedly. This movie had a ton of stupid shit in it. Like, a lot. But like I said in the video for Jurassic Park, Goldblum is like the whole movie for me. All of his lines are hysterical. Besides Goldblum, we have Julianne Moore, who I've always adored. Vince Vaughn, which speaking of Vince Vaughn, I saw him on some commercial. He's fucking gotten old looking, man. I mean, I know he's getting up there since like days of yore when he was in so many comedies I loved back in the day. But he's aged not too gracefully. He looks old. But he looks young in this, and he's great in this. He's funny, he has some good lines. Now this is also loosely based off of Michael Crichton's Lost World novel, his sequel, Jurassic Park, which I think even in the first book, like I said, it's been so long since I read the original Jurassic Park, but pretty sure there's so much missing from the book in the movie. Like, a lot of stuff. But there's only so much you can get from a book and turn it into a movie with. So let's enter the Lost World of Jurassic Park. So we have the opening scene, which is kind of just a waste of time, really. This is a 2-hour plus movie. When we have the rich family, the very stereotypical rich family with their daughter, and they're on the island of Isla Sorna. They don't have people guarding this island full of dinosaurs, anything like that. It's Hammond's nephew or something, right? The douchebag gets killed by the baby T-Rex at the end. And let me say this, the whole idea of the T-Rex being brought back on a boat to Los Angeles is so stupid. Who made that decision? And please, could somebody send a whole bunch of hornets in a box to his house? Because every time I watch this movie, I wish it just ended when they left the island. If they would have ended the movie there, it would have been a lot better of a film than all the stupid shit we get in LA at the end of this movie. But you have the rich girl, and she goes and she starts feeding the little tiny dinosaurs. I have no idea what they're called. And then she gets attacked, and we get just all to lead up to a cut gag to Jeff Goldblum yawning with a tropical background. And then for Hammond to mention very, very fast that this girl was attacked. No, she's fine, she's fine. What a waste of an opening scene. They should have just had Goldblum walk into Hammond's office to start this movie off. Yeah, so Hammond's nephew, the dickhead, is running InGen. And he paid off everybody for the incident in the park of the first movie. They ended up paying everybody hush money to not speak out publicly about what happened. And Ian Malcolm has. And no one believes him. And you got the guy on the subway. I saw you on TV, I believed you. You know, he makes the dinosaur face. Hey, we have Mr. Pitt from Seinfeld. I always forget that he plays a small little role here as the butler or whatever he is for Hammond to bring Goldblum up. Good to see him always. Another thing that's forced to shit in the sequel is Lex and Tim. Why even have them come back? Like, unless they were just happened to be walking past the set when they filmed this intro scene and said, oh, you know what? Come here, have a little cameo and show that you're still alive and stuff. That's the only reason these people are in this movie. They literally just say hello to Ian Malcolm, a few lines of dialogue, and we never see them again. What a waste. Even bigger of a waste because I would have much rather had Lex and Tim back than Kelly, Ian's daughter, that we get in this movie. With gymnastics at the end. Oh, God. So as much of a douchebag as the InGen guy, Hammond's nephew, is, I love his line for some reason when Goldblum gets close to him at the end of their confrontation. And he says, careful, this suit costs more than your education. The way he delivers that line, something about it, I love that line. Alright, so then we have the whole conversation between Hammond and Ian Malcolm, which is hysterical. I mentioned in the last video, because I couldn't contain it for this one, about how bullshit this whole excuse is for another island. Isla Sorna, he tells him it's the Site B, and that's where they bred the dinosaurs, and they brought them over to Isla Nublar when they were ready. Bullshit! Like I said, no. They show him saying that I request to be here for all the births and stuff. We see the eggs hatching. Nedry steals the DNA for the dinosaurs. They have all the DNA for the dinosaurs on Nublar in the first movie. So all of this Sorna other island bullshit is so forced in this movie. But Goldblum's lines are just golden here. He's helping Hammond out of bed, and he's telling him about Site B and about this second island. He's like, don't worry, I'm not making the same mistakes again. No, you're making all new ones. So let me get this straight. There's another island, no fences this time, and he wants the people in. Very few people on the ground. All of that is hysterical every time. I mean, it is an interesting idea that Hammond tells him that InGen's been on the verge of bankruptcy for years now, since the accident in the park. Are you fucking kidding me? 3 people were murdered. Dinosaurs were everywhere. But that's an accident to John Hammond. I love how Ian says, wow, you went from capitalist to naturalist in just 4 years. But it is kind of interesting that since they're on the verge of Chapter 11, Hammond's been trying to protect this Site B that shouldn't even exist, but he's been trying to. And now because of, that's what I forgot, that's how this ties in the intro scene a little bit. Because of the accident with the girl and her family that was on a yacht cruise and stopped at this island, which again, they're trying to protect this island. There's no one there protecting this island. It's just free for all. They're on a British yacht cruise, he says. And they're able to just stop on Dino Island and just kick their feet up on the beach. Can Hammond do anything correctly when it comes to dinosaurs? So then we find out that Ian has a daughter, Kelly. And they even poke fun at this later with Nick and the other guy. I always forget him. The one who gets torn apart by the 2 T-Rex. Eddie? Eddie, maybe. Yeah, Eddie Carr. That's his name. They even make a joke later when they say, do you see any resemblance between the daughter and him? I'm sorry. I never liked this girl. I never liked her as the pick for Ian's daughter in this movie. Terrible decision. It feels very forced just to get another kid into the story and have her end up on the island with them. To put another kid in peril a little bit. And to get that great gymnastics shit later. I've always thought that it had to have been someone's daughter who worked on the movie. And they said, could we get my daughter in this? And that's what happened. Like, I never looked into it, but that's what I've always thought. That this was somebody related to someone who worked on this film. And that's how she got the role. Because what an absolute terrible casting choice. So, Nick, Eddie, and Ian end up on the island. And then they're calling out for Sarah. And I like when they call out Sarah Harding, her full name. And Ian's like, how many Sarahs do you think are on this island? That's funny. Like I said, there's small bits of good dialogue and funny lines peppered throughout this movie. But it is few and far between. Then they find Sarah, and she has the whole thing with the lucky pack, that it looks like it's torn to shreds, and it does save her life, like twice in this movie. And again, Goldblum killing it with the lines. When they're like, they see the dinosaurs, the stegosauruses and stuff for the first time, and Nick and Eddie, they're looking in awe. And he's like, yeah, ooh, that's how it all starts. And later there's running and screaming. Kills it. Now, the guy who brings them over on the boat, the Spanish dude, with his little kid or something like that, he says that they call the islands the 5 deaths, the Cinco Muertos. Now, why 5? Like, I get that this one they're going to has dinosaurs. And the first island, Isla Nublar, is only like, 50-something miles from Sorna? So I guess those are 2 of the islands. But then there's 3 more islands. Are there 3 other islands with dinosaurs? Because we've never seen that shit. So I want to know how the island chain got the name, the 5 deaths. So then the InGen team arrives on the island too. And totally went on a tangent and forgot to finish this thought earlier. I was saying it's interesting, in a way, how they have the company on bankruptcy. And because of that whole incident with the British yacht cruise with the rich family, now InGen is going in to exploit this island, to bail the company out. That's a good, interesting premise. Just the way it's handled is awful, for the most part. But we got Kobayashi here from The Usual Suspects. Great actor, great to see him always. I love how they're chasing all the dinosaurs. You have the Discovery Channel dude with the beard who's like complete exposition for anything dinosaur. And I like how Kobayashi is just like calling out, he doesn't know the names of the dinosaurs. So just, Elvis with the pompadour. And it's Friar Tuck. Why do I always forget this Russian guy's name? He's in everything. Armageddon, Prison Break, the show, a million things. But I always forget his name. He plays Dieter in this. And I love the little conversation with Exposition Discovery Channel guy. that the little tiny dinosaurs who attacked the girl at the beginning and saying, are they dangerous? And he says, no, I wouldn't think so. And then he shocks one of them because he says they have no reason to fear man. And he shocks them and says, now they do. That's great. But I think it's awesome that they end up killing his ass later on in the movie. Then they stop by InGen's camp. And I get it. They don't want to see these animals in captivity and in cages and being exploited, sure. So they go around, they open the cages and let the dinosaurs out. And then the Triceratops crashes through one of the tents where they're having like a big presentation. No one hears a fucking dinosaur charging at the tent until it crashes through it. That is so stupid. And another retarded thing is the whole thing with the baby T-Rex. Again, I get it. I get that Sarah wants to help here. And this is like their field. They live for this shit. But like, this is new. It's dinosaurs. But it's a T-Rex. And she has this whole theory that T-Rexes won't abandon their young at the first chance they get. And that she can prove it. And she knows how dangerous T-Rexes are, right? Yet they take the baby T-Rex and then they expect the parent T-Rexes to understand that no, don't worry, we were just trying to help your baby. All of this is just awful writing. Sorry, that's how I feel about it. And then Ian's daughter, she's terrified and she wants to go in the hide, where you go high and you hide. And do you ever notice in these movies that the T-Rex, when it's far away and approaching, you hear the loud stomps of the T-Rex, the ripples in the water. But when the T-Rex is there and on screen, there's not a fucking shake on the ground or anything. When he's at full charge speed, nothing. There's no sound. The ground ain't shaking or nothing. I don't know, the things you notice. So they end up patching up the baby T-Rex, and then they bring it outside the trailer, face to face with the two T-Rexes. And Sarah's just laughing out of fear. Because now she realizes for some reason how stupid of a decision this was. But having said all that, with how bad a lot of the writing is to lead up to this scene, this is the best scene in the movie for me. The whole trailer scene, when Ian's just, hold on, this is going to be bad. And then the two T-Rexes attack this trailer. They knock it off the cliff. There's some great shots during that. But then the whole jokes that they're hanging there for dear life, and Eddie comes and he checks on them, and then he goes to get the cable from the car and pull them up. And, can I get you anything else? And I'm like, yeah, I'll take a Big Mac or something. Yeah, no onions on mine. And an apple turnover. Get the fuck out of here. That's so stupid. The writing is just atrocious at points in this movie. Like, I've never been in a situation on the dinosaur island hanging from a cliff on a rope for dear life. But I know sure as shit I'm not joking about apple turnovers. I do really like the shots, though, of Sarah when she falls and lands on the glass window on the bottom of the trailer, and it starts splitting the glass and stuff, and it's about to break. That's cool. And then after Eddie, this guy didn't do dick to the T-Rex, baby, or the T-Rex or anything like that. This guy is completely innocent, and he's the one that gets chewed in half and ripped apart by the two T-Rexes. Man, this guy had shit luck. Also, the whole fact that three of them are hanging on a rope and the trailer falls down, and not a single thing in the design of this trailer, not a single thing clips one of them on the way down or anything like that. It's the perfect width and diameter that goes right around the three of them hanging from a rope, and they're all fine as it drops. It's cool how the tire explodes and we see it like fly up towards them. That looks alright. Those T-Rexes must have booked the fuck out of there fast, because the whole InGen team is at the top of the cliff helping them up. Let's also talk about the genes of the Hammonds, because this guy is his nephew. He's awful at every decision he makes too. If you're going to a dinosaur-ridden island, and he even mentions, like, because now they have to get to the communication center because to send a message to the airlift to come pick them all up. And he says, that's not the problem. The day's walk getting there. And they ask, what is? He says, velociraptors. They know that they have velociraptors, T-Rexes, and shit on this island. Wouldn't you want to send in a team that's almost like the National Guard? Just like to the brim with bullets and just automatic weapons, grenades, rocket launchers. Just in case anything goes wrong. Because something very, very tragically went wrong in the first movie. But no, they just bring some people with tranq guns. And then somebody asks, what's a velociraptor? Are you goddamn kidding me? Who has never heard of a raptor? Who has never heard that term before? And he has to ask what a raptor is? Come on. Then the Russian dude, Dieter, he gets killed by the little ones. That's a cool scene. The way it's shot. Like when he goes to a certain point and he's getting attacked by all of them, and you see his blood like coming down the river or the stream, whatever it is. That's cool, the way that they shot that. Could you imagine being asleep, you and your most vulnerable, and the T-Rex sticks its head into your tent and starts sniffing around? I would be freaking out. The fact that they're able to stay mostly calm and like not moving shit, bravo. Because I would have fucking booked it out of there, knowing though that it's not good to move. Then a Mexican dude freaks out, sees the thing, and starts screaming and drawing attention to everybody. So Kobayashi, he tells Hammond's nephew, his fee, keep it. He just wants to hunt one of the male tyrannosaurs. Alright. So they're getting chased by the T-Rex, and then more stupid shit with Discovery Channel guy. He goes into the waterfall where they're hiding. There's like a cave behind the waterfall. He's in there. He knows there's a T-Rex outside. But this guy who's so into dinosaurs and stuff like that, a snake scares him. So much so, in fact, he forgets all about the T-Rex outside, walks out, leaves safety, and gets eaten alive by the T-Rex. Then we get probably the best shots in this movie. When they're in the tall grass, and then you see the raptors all coming from the different directions. That looks fantastic. And I'll say this about the raptors. They are amazing at killing people that have nothing to do with the plot, really, and keeping alive all our main characters. Then they end up finding the communication center. This whole movie is just so convenient. Everything in the writing is just convenient for convenience sake. All that stuff, the communications, the radio, it all works. And they mentioned it earlier. Their little excuse for how it works. That Hammond ran everything on geometric power or something, so it never needs to be replenished. To me, that's bullshit. That's just lazy writing. Yeah, but how the radio's going to work in this island no one's ever been on? I know, he ran on geometric power, and that's how that shit's on. It feels so lazy. I will say this, though. Despite the fact that I'm shitting all over this movie and breaking it all apart, I do love this film. Felt like I had to clarify that, just for like, if new people stumble upon this and they're wondering, wait, does this dude like this movie or not? And then how dumb this is. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, why do I love this movie? I guess just because I saw it so young and I have a lot of nostalgia for it. Because this is a terribly written movie, like most of it. We get the whole just tragic decision of her doing the gymnastic spins and kicking the raptor out the window. In this whole showdown with the raptors, we see in this movie that they're even stupider than the first film. So they get the airlift, they get out of there. InGen, the Kobayashi ends up tranking the male T-Rex, and they take the baby T-Rex and they put it on a cargo ship. They're taking a helicopter, Nick and Sarah and the kid and Ian and all them. And that's where this film should have fucking ended. At an hour and 45 minutes, more than enough. But then instead, we get this hilariously dumb ending. And they're waiting on the dock for the ship with the T-Rex. They're not getting any response from the ship. They see on the radar that the ship is not slowing down and it's coming straight for the dock. And yet no one thinks it's a good idea that we should get away from this area. The only person who starts running is Hammond's nephew, because he realizes what's going on. Everybody else just waits for the boat to crash through the pier before they start running. Yet surprisingly, it seems like there's not a goddamn casualty. Now this never made sense to me. They get on the ship, right? Goldblum and Julianne Moore, with a whole bunch of InGen people, and then we see there's no people on the ship. We see some chaos that the T-Rex caused. And there's a severed hand on the wheel of the ship. And it's in like an enclosed space. So how did the T-Rex rip this guy apart and leave just his hand stuck to the steering wheel of the boat? And then they make the brilliant decision. Don't these guys for InGen know that there's a fucking T-Rex on this thing? Below these big ass doors? But yet they think it's a great idea to open them. And say there may be crew down there. And that's another thing. How did the T-Rex kill everyone on board and then go back down and shut the doors on top of it? Oh, the writing's atrocious for the ending here. So they go find the baby T-Rex, because Sarah asks the nephew of Hammond, still don't have a name, where they're keeping the baby. And they're going to draw out the adult T-Rex by using the baby. I like Jeff Goldblum's little line, follow the screams. Okay, this is hilarious. This is something that works for me. When the T-Rex is running amok in LA, and then they just show a bunch of Japanese people running, going, freaking out like it's a Godzilla movie. That's hilarious. That's like the only thing that works for me in this whole ending in LA. So Hammond's douchebag nephew ends up getting killed. Cool how the big T-Rex is kind of like nudging the baby, his little one, to like go ahead, here, kill this fucker and eat him. That's pretty cool too. Then they shoot the T-Rex with a tranquilizer dart. Conveniently, he's already in the little, below the doors on the ship. And then the doors close on him. And then we just see John Hammond saying that we gotta make rules for this island. No shit. How many fucking accidents, quote-unquote accidents, are you going to allow to happen before you do something about the dinosaur problem? And then we get a shot of the dinosaurs at the end, which we see pterodactyls. I just watched the fucking movie, the first one. Pretty sure we don't see any pterodactyls. This is the first time I think that we do. So again, can they fly off the island anytime they want? Because maybe that would explain all the Mothman, like Birdman, like flying creature sightings that we have all the time. Could be pterodactyls flying off this island and getting misidentified. But all in all, it's a fun film. But goddamn, is a lot of this movie terribly written and executed. But this one, in my opinion, is leagues better than the next film. So, whenever that one comes, we'll talk Jurassic Park 3 and that abomination. For now, that's The Lost World Jurassic Park. And in case you haven't seen it, I'll leave you with the trailer for the upcoming film in a few years, Lost World, in the mouth of the Lord of the Flies. Take care, everybody.
From JTS HD Studios, chaos theorist and brilliant inventor Ian Brundle has uncovered the secret behind teleportation. He successfully made a baboon travel from one of his teleporters to another, coming out absolutely beyond dead. A Nobel Prize or two was definitely in Ian's future. Damien Trent was a successful insurance claims investigator on the brink of breaking open a nationwide fraud case. After a night of drinking and some light crystal meth usage, Brundle and Trent stumble into the teleporter just for a goof when a housefly randomly joins them. With the threesome underway, Ian and Damien exit the pod to find themselves in a lost world, in the mouth of the Lord of the Flies. The pair are blown away by the realization they have traveled back in time to the age of the dinosaurs. But now, it is up to Ian and Sam to race against time and survive this lost world of danger before their bodies become infused with that of a fly. You want to get sued? Starring Jeff Goldblum in his Academy Award daydream role as Ian Brundle, Sam Neill as Damien Trent, a creepy bike riding boy who discovered the opposite of the Fountain of Youth, and a special 10-minute deleted scene of Brundlefly taping a Superfly human 80s aerobics video from the film The Fly, with special guest appearances by Norman Bates from the horror classic Psycho, Julianne Moore, an axe-wielding maniac, John Carpenter on his 187th cigarette break while watching the film, Lynn Shay, no joke, she's a national treasure, and the ghost of Joan Rivers before all the catfish plastic surgery. Based on the true made-up lie by John Hammond used to hook Jeff Goldblum into doing Lost World Jurassic Park. Get ready for the horror adventure film of the century. Get ready to be utterly and masochistically insulted by scenes of pure stupidity. Get ready for Lost World, in the mouth of the Lord of the Flies, featuring the music of Tiny Tim, Trevor Rabin, Static X, and a special performance by Nina, performing a Guitar Hero rendition of her smash hit 99 Red Balloons, using strictly the Donkey Kong Congas controller. The HGSF Times says, I highly recommend it, despite possibly being the worst film ever made. Jeff Goldblum himself had to say, the ghost of pre-guilty verdict Jeffrey Epstein had to say, an absolute crime. I feel like ideas, thoughts, and actions were being forcibly exerted upon and inserted into my brain and body, not at all to my consent. Get ready to experience masterful, state-of-the-art awful filmmaking in Lost World, in the mouth of the Lord of the Flies. Coming 2025 to the multiplex located inside the Jurassic World theme park after the dinosaurs have left their paddocks. Rated R for ridiculously stupid.